Okay, so we're back again talking about distinctives of Life Community Church, like the things that when you're sort of quote unquote church shopping, you may not have these on the shopping list, but they're things that wind up in the cart before you leave the store, right? And so that's just kind of a. It's Oreos in our house. They're never on the list, but they're always in the cart. But just trying to think of like things that are true about us that are intentional. They're not kind of accidental. They're intentional, but maybe things that aren't necessarily front and center. But that doesn't make them any less real. And we're talking this time about being a church that equips. And I think if there's if you've been around church for a while, and when we're talking particularly equips to lead. If you've been on church for a while, many church structures are sort of built to, we talk about packaging, like they give you a package, and if you just get in, like, buy the package, and whatever buy means, like buy the package and follow the package, you will grow spiritually. And again, we've talked about this in other sessions, but Life Community is a place that says, like, we're really skeptical of packages. We're really skeptical of A plus B equals C spiritual programs. And this week we're really focusing on this when it comes to like our spiritual growth and our discipleship. Typical church structure says, like, I come to the church to be discipled and to, and really what we say here is, I hope you come to church so that we can equip you to disciple. And I wonder, like, what does that look like in practical ways? When we think about this, how does the church do that? And maybe from your own experience, what have you experienced in that realm?
So the word equip for me resonates like churchy words. So can you help me make it less churchy and more like everyday? So would you say equipping would be like a fancy word for let me walk life with you?
Sure.
Let me walk life alongside you? It's totally putting you on the spot.
No, that's great. When I think equip, I think if there's a challenge in front of us, we need some structure and some support to meet that challenge.
Okay.
And so rather than being a place that tries to reduce the challenge or tries to just handle the challenge for you.
Give you skills and tools?
Yes. Yeah. How does that, what does it look like for us to be a place that does that? And again, instead of just saying, like, hey, here's a lever, come in every Sunday morning and pull the lever, make sure you leave a little deposit in the box,
Tap your heels 3 times.
do that. And
okay.
but what does it look like for a place to say, like, no, we're not going to spiritually grow for you. We're going to put you in an environment where spiritual growth is going to happen. We want to till that soil, but we're not going to do it for you. And what does that mean in a local church context?
Okay, I've got a story. Even though I said I'm going to stop with all my stories, but I have a story.
We love a story.
I have a story.
Years ago, we sat around and analyzed discipleship, and we had wonderful people, and we laid out this huge discipleship, like, what are we going to do? And at the end of the day, we had this huge discipleship wall, and the discipleship wall was exactly what we just said. Like, how do you want to grow? And we'll help connect you to people who want to grow with you. And I remember sometimes there was a little bit of a feeling of, that's it? That's the program? Like, I want a course, and I want you to sign me up, and I want, at the end of this, I'm going to be a spiritually mature believer. And I ended up going, and I can't remember how I connected with someone, but my kids were young, and we both were interested in growing in the same topic. I think it was actually on fasting, which I just did not have a background in understanding. And so someone at the church would watch my kids once a week while I would fast and go on a walk. And then the next week, I would watch her kids so she could have a day to fast and her kids could play. And we connected on just, hey, you look at the same passages and I'll look at the same passages. And if we ever could, like, exchange ideas, that'd be great. It was not organized. It was not some book. We really just went through the scriptures and found a concordance and looked up verses. But that changed me. It literally changed my view and changed something about how I saw God. And I am so glad that it wasn't a program. It was just finding another like-minded person in the body that wanted to grow in an arena, and it was a Holy Spirit thing that God brought us together. Okay, I got one more story that you can choose to not use that one, but also early on when I came to Life Community, something I just cared deeply about was global missions. And so we were a young church plant. You know, we were just trying to figure out how to do Sunday services. And I'm like, what are we doing for international missions? and I kind of heard, well, you're passionate about that. Like, it's not that we're not passionate about that, but we do not have the resources to go figure that out. So you let us know what you want to do, and we will support that. Which I thought was probably someone just giving me lip service. Like, you're not going to, what, like, I'm just going to go. And so I said, well, no, I think we should do a missions trip. Okay, we'll plan one. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like, you're going to let me plan that. Like, and so, sure enough, our senior pastor at the time said, let me know what you find out. And so I started researching all these organizations, and I thought, well, they have to be like-minded. And it can't be like bad missions where you just go in and do a short-term trip and really cause more damage. And I want to, partner with somebody who believes in church plants and community. And long story short, I came up with 3 organizations, and I went to Tom, our senior pastor at the time. I said, I came up with 3. If you could run this by the elders and you could just see what they think, and then here you go. And he said, and I was maybe 25, he said, what'd you pick? I said, I can't pick. I don't have a degree in whatever you need to make these decisions. Yeah. And you know what he said to me? He said, but I trust you and I know your heart. And you say which one, and you tell us which trip, and we'll get the word out. And we started a partnership with the ministry that lasted for a long time around here. And I will tell you what, that changed me. Because I said, they don't just say, go for it. They meant it. They really said, we trust you, we know you. And I don't say around to everybody around here, hey, just go start a ministry. And there's checks and balances. But it really was a game changer for me to say, I get to be a part of directions we go around here. If I'm passionate about something, then go for it. So it's not just lip service. It really has been my experience.
When I think of equipping the people in our church to serve, I think it's, or maybe it's, I should say it this way, I haven't been left alone. I've been checked in on. I'm serving in an area and someone knows my background, they know my skills, they know my issues, my areas of lacking, and they come alongside and they say, how are you doing? You okay with that? Is this still working out? As in other models, great, we got someone to fill a spot, she's good. Let's see how long she lasts. But it's someone who is really taking an interest in me and wants to see me grow, not just to fill a niche, but they want to see me fulfill the prize, to go to the end of it. I think that's what makes LCC so cool, is that we see something in you. We've been watching you. We've been watching you. Doesn't that sound good?
Always watching.
We're watching. No, they take a curiosity and they take an interest in me, and that they want to equip me with skills and walk alongside me. And I think of other people recently I've come across at our church, and as I'm curious about them, curious about their background, and I'm thinking, hey, would you like to walk with me for a while in this area? Would you like to, are you struggling with this like I am? Why don't we get some tools together? You're not alone on the journey.
And don't you find that kind of stuff happens all over the place, all the time, and then it's easy if you're not connecting with people to go nothing happens in this place. You know what I mean? No one's doing anything here, and then you start to get.
It's like a secret.
It is you get a little secret society. You get around with folks, and you go well, they have a story about this struggle, and gosh, this new believer is being mentored through the Bible by this woman, and that stuff just goes on. There's a book club, reading group that's going on that isn't a program of the church, but it's empowered by the relationships that are in place.
And I think when I first came, I wanted, we should broadcast those stories. So, everybody knows they're going on, because, how are we going to measure if we're, a good church or not? And then I go, who am I broadcasting those stories for? Isn't it just cool to know God's faithful and those stories are happening? And if you kind of listen, you kind of hear the stories.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that I loved about LCC and has kept me here. And at the beginning of my journey here, made me so excited, because it was just like yeast. we just grow just by yeast, just quietly, and it just unfolds, and it's beautiful and it's natural and it's not forced. I love that.
As a parent, I'll just
Well, I was
You go.
Well, no, I was thinking about you actually,
Oh.
Kyle.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was just thinking
Tell me more.
about ministry, but just about ministry and like Hope's Lantern.
Yeah.
I want you to talk about it if you want to, but just the idea of folks that see a need and they don't wait even sometimes for permission, and it's not even like under the auspices of LCC, but it's people that just are. I don't know. Can you talk a little bit
yeah.
about that?
Yeah, so we started, we kind of noticed a need in the Jonathan Alder School District where our cell group was based out in Plain City, where, you know, these kids would get free or reduced lunch during the week, but then they wouldn't have anything on the weekends. And so we had some parents in our group who had relationships with different people in the school system, and we just kind of started providing sack lunches here and there to a few kids, and you know, over the years we got connected with more schools in the district, and we've been able to kind of grow that. But it's all been very organic. You know, our cell group, and then, you know, when needed, we reach out to people in the community, but also LCC, and we've been blessed to have a lot of people come alongside us. So it's been very organic in that way, and that's one of the things I think of when I think about discipleship, is just you know, the kind of organic things that occur through relationships. So.
And it's fantastic, because that's exactly the kind of things we're talking about. Like, you sort of hear these words, Hope's Lantern, and I was a part of Life Community, and I knew what it was, but it's not. It's the people of Life Community in their community, moving and ministering and serving, and not Life Community trying to establish a beachhead out in Plain City. And it's just it's in our DNA. You know, and it really, in very practical ways, influences what we do, how we're structured. Like I've got, my wife and I have 4 kids, and our oldest has now really gone through like the birth through high school graduation here, and I was never given the impression that what was going to happen here was that I was going to deliver my child, and my child's spiritual needs were going to be met, and then I would receive them back in a greater spiritual place than they were when I left them, and my work as a parent was done in discipling them. The message has always been is that it begins in the home. You are the one that God has called to parent these kids, and we're here to help you, and we're here to walk alongside you, and we're here to help your kid come to love church, and we're here to help your kid worship and connect with others, but we're not here to replace you. It would be wrong to do that. And it's true. If it's true in that setting, it's true in the others. Like it's true across the board.
And tell me about like discipling your kids. I've got 2 teenagers, and I asked them once a few years back, hey, if you ever have something you want to talk about, and I'm not a safe person to talk to because, you know, the mother-daughter dynamic is weird. I go, who are some other women that you know that love Jesus that you feel like you could talk to? And I was thinking they would name maybe a couple aunts, which they did, but their list was long.
Yeah.
And that I cannot even put into words what that means as a parent.
Yeah.
And many of them were people we've crossed paths in cell group with. And it was just like, oh, well, that person, like, I could talk to that person. Oh, and she makes the best brownies, and sometimes we'd be there for cell group. She just sits and talks. Like, I could talk to her, and I just thought, this church has, yes, helped me to raise my child, but they have, dare I say, been a village, yes, like they absolutely have continued to come alongside us and invest in my kids. And so I do think there's something beautiful about that. And I've heard people say, oh, what program do you use, or what this? And I go, it's people, just people.
Yep.